Alright, welcome to the Introductory to C# Programming series for Unity. The lessons are designed for anyone with little to no knowledge of programming, but have a desire and an interest in game development. Now by the end of this, you'll have a working knowledge of the C# language, an ability to use C# effectively in your next projects, and a platform to go from for further studies and understanding of programming. Okay, so let's get started with the basics. We're going to take a look at three different IDEs that we can work with. Remember, IDE is an integrated development environment. The first one is MonoDevelop, which comes with Unity. You can go to their website. You can find out more information about the tool itself, features and highlights and things. The other IDE is going to be a Visual Studios for Microsoft. Visual Studios 2013 edition is going to be a free for the developer. If you just go to their visualstudio.com website, you can get more information about it here, or you can download it. The third option is going to be Notepad++. Again, another free option that you can download and use. All three of these I find myself going back and forth between when using them. If I was to look for a favorite one that I use more often, it would be Visual Studios. The system and the setup for me and for development tends to be the one that I get drawn to. If you are just a kind of a light user, like when you get done with the programming course, if you think you'll use it just sparingly, then you may find yourself using MonoDevelop more often just because it's already connected up. Alright, so these are going to be the three type. We'll take a look at each one of them and how to use them, but the main focus is just to give you an idea and understanding of what's available and what options you can use. The first thing that we want to do to get started with is going to be creating our Unity project. So if you have Unity installed, go ahead and click on the Unity executable or shortcut. When it opens up, you're going to be prompted with what you want to do. We want to create a new project. The new project, I'm just going to have a folder on my desktop called Unity C#. We'll browse to it. And what you want to do is just choose a location, so it's going to be that folder. We'll click on Select Folder, and then click the Create button right there. Once Unity builds the project out for us, we'll have our environment set up. Now let's go ahead and set up the windows and just kind of get everything ready so that we're ready just to start working through all of our lessons. First thing that we want to do is pull the windows in and around and change them up. I'm going to take my console because the console is going to be one that we are going to be using quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and place this one across the bottom bar. We'll take our hierarchy and put it to the side. And then we'll have our project window on this side, and we'll have our scene and games tab on these sides. Remember, you should be pretty familiar and comfortable with the with docking and moving the windows around. If you're not comfortable with it, take a few minutes, just get used to pulling a tab off, moving it, docking it to the side. We'll make sure we have Maximize on Play unchecked. We just want to have the two windows so we can see those. Because we're going to be doing a lot of things with the console window, printing things to screen and seeing it, we'll go ahead and leave it larger like this. Once you have it, you can go up to the top right, over where you see Layout. You can click on Layout and you can actually do Save Layout. We could call this one, you can use your name and say Walker, and this will be, we'll do C# layout. And if you save that one, that way whenever you come back to this, you can actually click on it and we'll be in the same environment with the same windows in the same spot. Alright, so this is going to be the basics of setting up our windows, our structure, getting our project ready. The next thing that we want to do is go over to our project tab, our project panel. We're just going to say create. Now remember, you can do right click here and do create. You can do the drop down from here and create. We're going to create a folder. We'll call this C# examples. And inside the C# examples, if we right click on that, then when you create a new folder, it's going to be parented into it, so this will be a child of it. And this one, we'll just go ahead and do scripts. And we can actually push, remember if you have it selected, you can push Control D to duplicate. So we'll do Control D, and we'll make a new one. We'll call this one Scenes. Just Control D again to duplicate. So we'll have scenes, we'll have scripts, and then currently we may add to this one, but we'll just go ahead and say art. That way we'll have a few art pieces and we'll just put them generically in the folder for that one. Alright, so our main focus is going to be, we want to have scenes for each one of our programming examples, and we'll have scripts for each one that we write. Alright, so at this point we should be good. You can go ahead and save this one, and then when you're ready to move to the next part, we'll continue to use this setup for all the lessons we do with this. Inside of Unity on the console panel, so the console panel being this panel right here, this is going to be the basic area where anything you want to print to screen for a debug or a print command is going to be displayed. We're going to take a quick look just at the simple elements to it. First thing being the buttons right below console. You'll have one that says clear, collapse, clear on play, and error pause. Clear is going to clear anything inside of here. Collapse is going to make any duplicate calls wrap up into just simply one line. Clear on play is just every time you hit the play button, it's going to all clear. And then the error pause is going to actually pause whenever it gets to a debug log error, which can be an intentional or unintentional use of it. Over on the right hand side, you have the filter options for each one of them. If you don't want to see any, you can turn them off. If you want to see just the standard log, you can see those. If you want to see warnings, and if you want to see errors. On the drop down right at the top right corner there, if you click on it, you'll notice you have an open editor log. You have a maximize, close windows, and add tab, the standard buttons for Unity panels. The open editor log, if you click on it when you have a project going, it'll actually wind up printing a lot more than just what we have here. This is basically printing anything out from your console over to here. It's going to print a lot of information about the objects and the items being used, what's happening on the background. It dumps it all here so you have a text copy of it and you know what's been happening. Alright, so that's going to be the basic look of what the console is and what its purpose is. We'll start using it here in a little bit when we start making scripts, and then start identifying and wanting to identify elements within the script inside of Unity. Working with scripts inside of Unity can be done a couple of different ways. First thing that you want to do is go up to the assets on the menu bar, go over to create. You'll have an option for creating 3 different types of scripts. The one that we're going to go with is C# script. If you click on it, it's going to place it in the root of your project panel. By default, it's going to use the name new behavior script. If you don't change it, if you just push enter, then it's going to create the blueprint of the new behavior script. So it's going to place in public class. Over on the right hand side here in the inspector, you'll see public class new behavior script. Now the catch with this is that if you actually go in here and I change the name of my script, maybe I want to say my new script. If I rename it here, notice the name over here doesn't change. Once Unity's made the script, once you've pushed enter, it's done its job. So now if you change anything, you have to go into the script and actually change it or update it. Okay. The reason for that is if these two names are not the same, then if I put it onto an object as a component, it's not going to be able to see it and won't be able to use it. So if we have a script, I'll go ahead and delete this one here. The other way that you can create a script is inside of the project panel. You can just right click and do create. You can also right click directly on a folder if you want to place your file directly inside of it at start. So I'm going to say create. I'll just go to C# script. So our basic examples, we're going to be just calling these example 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, going through those. Example 1, I'm just going to type this in, so be sure to go ahead and create this script right here. Just push enter once you've made it. You should just kind of double check yourself if you've written it out. The importance of the script itself, you can name them whatever you want, but if you're trying to get into the programming side, coming up with kind of a basic language and syntax for it, be sure that script files, class file names, start with a capital letter. Alright, so we have our example 1 script that we set in here. Let's go ahead and make sure that we all have the same IDE that we're going to use. So go up to Edit on the menu. If you go down to Preferences, go ahead and click on Preferences. When Unity Preferences comes up, click on the External Tools. Inside of External Tools, you'll see a External Script Editor. By default, MonoDevelop is selected. If you browse and you assign multiple to it, you'll have several options to choose from. Visual Studios or Notepad or any of those. For us, we're going to stick with MonoDevelop. You can close this one out. Now if we double click on example 1, it's going to load MonoDevelop. Once MonoDevelop opens up, we'll now see that we have our example 1. I'll zoom in on this so you can see a little bit easier here. You'll see that we have our example 1 C# script. The name of it is the example 1. This is the basic process and the pipeline that we're going to go through while we're developing. I'm going to go ahead and close this. We'll go ahead and make a new scene. We'll get this set up and ready so that we'll have everything we need. We have an empty scene right here, so we can just go up to File and Save Scene. And the scene, we're going to save it inside of our Scenes folder. We'll just call this the same as the script file that we have, so we'll just say example 1. So in example 1, this being the scene that we're going to start with, the next thing that we'll work on is looking at some basic language, some syntax that we're going to use with C#.